hit the recording button. Let me just check with my wife, make sure you guys can all hear me. Yeah, hope so. Okay, I'm gonna wait another minute or two and then we'll begin. 1 second. All right. Got to go ahead. Okay, we'll begin. Again, welcome. I'd like to thank you all for coming tonight, taking the time, and for creating the space for me to share a bit of my story and this message that I have for you all. I also want to thank my wife, giving me this opportunity, encouraging me, supporting me, and for bringing me to this place. Well, I guess this is the point. This whole webinar is about what a man represents in the marriage. So I definitely need my wife. My wife was instrumental to bringing me to this place. So before we begin, if you are seating and if you're able to close your eyes, we'll just do a short little breathing just to ground ourselves in this place. So I invite you to close your eyes and start with an inhale. And when you do it, count to 4. Breathe into your belly first and then into your chest. So let's take an inhale. 4, and then exhale for 4. 3, 2, 1. Again, inhale. And then exhale. Just land your body right where you are. Feel your feet on the ground. If you're sitting in a chair, if you're lying in your bed or a couch, feel the support that this physical thing provides for you. Okay. And we're back. Okay, so tonight is going to be broken out into 3 parts. First part is going to be my story, a little bit about me and how I even got to where I am right now. And the second part we'll talk about is what is the spiritual role of the man, the leader of the family, and then how to create a space for your partner to flourish. Okay. So my story begins, I think a lot of you know, grew up in New York, grew up in a very nice family, big family, a lot of boys. And one of the hardest things for me growing up was how to treat women, girls. And it wasn't, I didn't really see it being done properly or in a very respectful way. And for me in general, I didn't really understand them. I just thought they were a bit annoying, stuff like that. That was my growing up. That was my understanding of women in general. And growing up in my teenage years, I struggled a lot with addiction, rage, and it was very hard as my hormones were really kicking in and trying to cope with what I was going through at home. It was a lot of being from a big family and living in New York. It was a lot of it was heavy tension. It was a lot of emotions, very, very, very loud and exciting. And at the same time, kind of my emotions got lost and I kind of lost myself. I didn't know who I was, kind of just following what everyone else was doing. And that's the way my teenage years were. And I found addiction really helped me cope with life. And I had a great many years. So there was a lot of great things that went on. There was a lot of hardships. I thought that marriage would save me. Now I realize it did, in a way. It really helped me. My wife really helped me, and the structure of marriage really kept me grounded. But then I really wanted to just escape all my problems. I thought when I got married, all my problems would, leave me, and that's it. I wouldn't be angry anymore. I wouldn't have any addiction or anything like that. I'd be good to go. Little did I know that It doesn't exist. You have to work. You have to work on your problems, no matter what situation you're in. You have to work on it. So I was, let's just say, I was working. I was very involved in my life. I was very involved with my kids, but I would say is my soul was deteriorating. When I wasn't connected to myself, I started to deteriorate. And then I'm not connected to myself, I wasn't connected to my wife, emotionally, spiritually, and then to others as well. So, and that brought me about 6 years ago, a wake-up call to really start to work on myself. As it was a big explosion, like, WTF, what's going on with my life? Something needs to change. And that's where I guess the story for today, the message for today begins. The first part I want to talk about is responsibility and role as a man. So it's being a spiritual leader. So my first sponsor was very big into the man being the spiritual leader and what that looks like. So the first thing I asked myself was, what was my priority? And I ask you now today, what is your priority in life? So I'm married, I have kids, and I thought, yes, this is what, and I was brought up in a religious home where that was the priority. The priority was to create a family, get married, create a family, and this was it. And I love that idea, and it's a beautiful thing. And so I went to work, and my work was basically to create, support for my family. But then, I don't know, something happened where everything was about the work. My priority became the work. And of course, I convinced myself that I could work more because I got to support my family. I want to have a good life for them. I want to take them on trips. I want to, my wife is from Australia. I want to go to Australia more often, and things like that. All the things I wanted in my life, I convinced myself this is why I need to work more time, be more stressed about work, and ignore what the real purpose is, what my real purpose was. So the biggest question when someone is struggling, I always ask is, what's your priority? What's your commitment? So 6 years ago, when I was struggling with my addiction, I decided I want to heal. That's it. I'm done. Like I saw a way out. I want to commit. So what I did was I committed. My priority became to heal, because I knew when I'm going to heal, when I become connected more to myself, when I take away the things that are numbing me, then I'm able to be there more for my family, sort of like the business in a way. I'm able to be there more for my wife, have a better relationship, have a better relationship with my kids and those around me. So my priority became to heal. And that's what I was committed to. That was, yeah. Let me pause 1 second. Yeah. So that became my priority. And that my priority still today is I want to build a connection with my wife and to bring up my kids in a healthy manner. That is my goal and priority. And so therefore, a lot of times I find people in the healing world and working on themselves, they kind of fall short in a lot of things. I fall short too. I'm not no tzaddik or anything, but I find that a lot of times guys are in the loop because they're just not committed. Now, I'm not saying they're not committed people. They're just not committed to that aspect of healing. So I found that it's a very, very simple way to live. It's not easy, but it's simple. What I mean by simple is you have a goal. If your goal is to, I don't know, let's say to lose a certain amount of weight, then that's it. It's a simple thing. It might be hard. You got to go to the gym every day. You got to eat certain ways and stuff. That might be hard. I get it, but it's simple. You just do the X, Y, and Z, and you'll meet that goal. that's the way I looked at my life. And what does it mean to be a spiritual leader? More of a spiritual protector. So these days, we don't need as much physical protection. Or maybe, we have, the society became more, what do you call it, normal. We're not just going around and killing people. But now really it's the spiritual protection. So when I come home, I want to basically protect my family from what I don't want to bring any, I would say, garbage into my house. I'm going out there, I'm working, whatever I'm doing. So when I come home, I want to be as grounded as possible. So when my wife comes to me and talks to me, or when she says things to me, I don't fly into a roller coaster. My kids come and they're jumping all over me, or they're screaming, they need this, they need that. I don't fly into a roller coaster. I want to protect myself from what the outside is. So when I come into that, how to do that, we're going to go to that in a minute. So the first before is really getting honest with yourself. What's your priority in life? Next is being a spiritual leader of the family, is being the change. My teacher, my mentors, biggest thing was just be the change. Instead of trying to talk to people what they should do, or they're doing something wrong, or you got to do like this, you got to do like that, and it's just myself, be the change. And I mean, we have many stories in our tradition where it's, don't try to change the world, don't try to change your city, don't try to change your family, just try to change yourself, and then automatically everyone else will change. And it really does. That's how it happens. Because, and I'll give you a real life example. So I come home, right? And I don't like what my wife did. She did something wrong. I don't like it. I don't know. The way she she cleaned up the house, or she put things away. I don't like it, and she's doing something wrong. So I want to point it out to her. So instead of me doing that, instead of me pointing or judging her for something, I go into myself and ask myself, where am I doing this? Where can I change? Okay, I don't like the way she did. Do I have that also in myself? And if I do, can I go to work on it? So before I go and I point my finger, like the Baal Shem Tov says, you point your finger, you have 3 fingers pointing back. 3 fingers, not 1, you have 3. So I always tend, I'm not perfect at this, but I always tend to go back inward and say, okay, where can I change? Where can I change? Yes, maybe my wife is wrong. And let's say the guy outside, I was, screaming, okay, he's wrong. This person's wrong. But where's my part to play in this? What is my part? And I always ask that question to myself. What is my part to play? Okay. That for me is being the leader, being the change. Because I'm the first one to go in and stop the negative actions. So if I don't like something in my house, instead of me going to my kid and saying, I go, wait a minute, where am I doing that? So I'll give you one example. I'm struggling right now with my oldest son. He sneaks around with the PlayStation and Nintendo, and he goes around and he's not 100% honest. And I just want to yell at him. And I go inward and I say, wait a minute. Am I always 100% honest? I don't think so. Where can I grow in my honesty? Where can I grow in my truth? How am I showing up more authentically and doing things not sneaky, but straight up, the authentic and real. And that becomes the biggest lesson. The people in my family are my biggest mirrors of what's really going on inside. So that's really being the change. And you'll see as everyone around you will continue to be that change. All right, now we can talk about regulating your own emotions. So in order I like to speak a lot about myself, and then hopefully instead of speaking into second person and third person. So a lot of times for me, in order for me to regulate my emotions, I need to have my own cup filled up. So my example I give is I go in the morning, I wake up in the morning, bless my wife. She knows how much I need this. I go in the morning, I go downstairs, I do a spiritual practice, which incorporated in a lot of Jewish rituals. And I ground, I do different modalities. You could ask me later what they are. a lot of different ones. Really great to just ground me and connect me with myself, to wake up in the morning so I feel calm and ready. And then I go upstairs and I'm present. My wife sometimes says she feels this just boom, this presence of a man here, ready to go, ready to tackle the day. And so I tell people, when I fill up my cup, I can give to everyone. Here, what do you need? And even though it triggers sometimes I get triggered, but I'm so, I'm so filled with energy that I'm able to move through it. So one thing I do is I like to sing. So I sing the Goodim in the morning, and I kind of like get real into it. And I'm releasing anything that's unhealthy, just releasing it. So when I come upstairs, my kids are, it's all good. They can, they don't want to go to school. They're fighting to get in the car. Usually I'm pretty good. If I'm snappy, it means that I got to get back into my room and do some more calming down. When I get home. So a big thing is when I get home, I want to kind of like ground before I get, kind of calm myself. I won't say calm myself down, but imagine I used to get home, I would drive, be on the phone with someone, probably not the best call. I used to deal a lot with real estate and maintenance calls. I'm home at 5 o'clock, at 4:50, a tenant calls screaming at me. I woke into the house 10 minutes later. My kids are going to get basically that yelling. My kids and my wife would get that yelling at her, and that really, it was detrimental to everything. It was detrimental to myself, to my soul. It was detrimental to my kids watching this, to my wife. It just kills everything. So a huge part of filling up your own cup is that when I would head back home, is to really be, okay, hey, I'm here, take a breather, journal, or whatever's going on throughout the day, process it through. I had a lot of supports. I had a sponsor. I had a lot of people I was speaking to, therapists and stuff. So I would kind of talk to them and let out a lot. So when I got home, I was able to, be there, present for my wife and my kids. Okay. The next thing also is a big thing is to learn, and this is gonna generate right into the next part of what I want to talk about, is to learn to take responsibility for your own actions. This is a very hard thing, personally myself. I don't like to admit I was wrong. I hate it. I hate it. I always like to be right. I'm assuming some other people have similar desires to always be right. And especially if my wife gets me where I'm wrong. It's never a pleasant thing. One thing I had to learn in recovery and healing in general, in how to build a proper communication with my wife, was learning to take responsibility for my own actions. It was hard because imagine I used to imagine if someone would hit me, and then I would hit him back or hit him too many times or something. Oh, sorry, I'll cut that. There was a story once with Rebbetzin Chaim Mushka, the Lubavitch Rebbe's wife. I don't know if it was her. I believe it was her. During the war, the bombs were falling, and a bomb was about to fall on someone, and she pushed the person, and she saved the person's life. And later on, she went back and apologized to the person. I'm sorry for pushing you. That just brought the aspect of that when I do something, I could defend myself, but it might not be in the best manner sometimes myself. So my wife would, let's say something to me, which I felt was completely not the right time. It's not fair. I'll give you one story shortly where I hope I can say this story, Mushka. If not, well, it is what it is. We just built our house and the cameras weren't working. Thank God the cameras are working now. Yay. And we were leaving on a trip, and she comes and says to me, Manny, how come the cameras are not, look, what's going on with the cameras? She said in a very, how would you say, a very nice way, but a very like, to me, it triggered me from something like, yeah, I'm doing something wrong. The way she said it was perfectly fine. The way I handled it was different. And the way it triggered me, and I got very snappy and angry. And I started lashing out and raising my voice. Afterwards, I went and apologized for raising my voice. What she said, whatever, that's something else which wasn't necessarily on me because I was focusing on something else. All right. But I apologized and I took my responsibility for saying something, for raising my voice. And that's my part to play. So when it's my part to play, I need to step up, and it would look like this. I would say, hey, sweetie, I'm sorry for raising my voice. Something was said that triggered me. I don't blame my wife even. Also, I don't blame it. I don't say, oh, you said something, and I don't apologize also like this. I used to hear a lot of people apologizing to me also. It would be, hey, I'm sorry for doing this, but you went and did this, and therefore I had to say, not nice things about you. That's not an apology. That's just still wanting to throw some more punches. To me, I would go to my wife and say, hi, honey, I'm sorry for raising my voice. Something was said that triggered me. It brought me back, and I just felt I was doing something wrong, and I felt I was doing something right. So I was protecting myself. I'm here for you now. Can we have the conversation a little later on when I'm more grounded? Something in the forms of that. What it did for me was not necessarily, and I'm not saying this as a general rule, but this is what I work towards, where I was able to look at myself. I'm able to look at the situation as a fact. This is the fact. This is what was said to me. Okay. This is what was said, a sentence. And then I then would go and rethink it. Okay. If a random person said it to me, how bad would it be? If my neighbor came and said, hey, when are you putting up your cameras? When are your cameras going to be working? Would I freaking yell at the guy? No, I wouldn't care. So something my wife is, something she triggers me in something, she activates an energy, something in me it's not her, it's in me. So I need to go back to myself and say, oh, if it's me, what is it in me? So now I need to go apologize because I actually did something wrong. I raised my voice. Why should I ever raise my voice in my wife? I'm calling myself this, but to me, I didn't grow up seeing that type of behavior where I grew up seeing that it's okay to yell at your partner. But I don't agree with this way. I believe you do not raise your voice ever at your wife or your kids. It's just and I did that. I did that, multiple times. And when I do that, I go and I apologize, something like that. So that was me really taking responsibility for my own actions. And then it trickled into my any time in my life, my work. If I did, even my kids, you can ask my kids, man. I say so many times, I'm sorry, man. I'm get embarrassed sometimes how many times I have to apologize. But if I raise my voice to my kids, I'll go to him and I'll say, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to raise my voice. And what he did my son do something wrong? Yeah. But me raising my voice, that's wrong also. So I, as again, the spiritual leader of my family, the spiritual leader of this household, I go and step up and say, hey, this was I made a mistake. And what I've seen so far in the past couple of years is my wife actually sometimes now comes to me, although women are never wrong, by the way, they're never wrong, always right. Sometimes I also get an apology, see where she's wrong. That's when I secretly go cha-ching. So, but that's my little secret. Okay, that's a little joke. Okay, so now that these ideas really taught me in the first couple of years of recovery and learning to heal, really taught me how to get internal. Instead of looking outside, everyone else is the problem and everyone else is to blame, hold yours is, what part do you have to play in it? So I ask, and anyone who's dealing with this something now, yes, they could be wrong. And what someone did to you is probably wrong. I was abused in multiple different ways. Yes, they were wrong. And I need to go back and see what part do I have to play. Maybe not as a kid, but more or less As an adult now, if someone takes, I would say, I'll give you an example. My house. I was building my house. I had some of these workers that were taking advantage. They promised me they would come. So I needed to see what part did I play in something like this. I can get upset at them and I can be upset, but do I have to lash out, or can I be like, hey, what is it teaching you? I think I had the framer. He was like the framer. They were they said they were going to come. I think let's say on Friday, messed them on Monday, said they'd come on Friday. The person has come for 2 weeks. I keep on messaging them. Meanwhile, some material got stolen. I was all pissed at them. Really, it was on me. I paid them up. I paid them the money. I didn't have any money. That was on me. I didn't set my boundaries correctly. So I always look at what part do I have to play, and they're also wrong. It's not. It doesn't. I don't think it's a contradiction. I think both can exist at the same time. Okay. Now, how to create a safe space, a space for your partnership to flourish. So I don't know how everyone looks at marriage in general. When I looked at marriage, it was all enmeshed. Marriage is being a father and being there's a mother and there's children and there's a house and there's a business. It was very enmeshed. It's just, yeah, whatever, just get it done, yay. And I remember my uncle said to me something very, very still profound. Excuse me. And I still live with it today. He said to me, every day I should wake up and ask myself, how am I making my wife happy today? Do I do it every day? No. Sorry, sweetie. But that is my priority in my life, is how I make my wife happy. How do I make her feel good? And it's super important to make her feel good. When she feels good, the energy in the room, the energy in the house changes. It changes miraculously. It changes it for me, changes this whole space. Marriage, I thought, was just one big, I don't even know. Honestly, I just thought it's part of the process. My therapist showed me how marriage is its own entity. It's like a baby. It's its own baby. I'm not a husband. I'm not a father. I'm Menachem. That's it. I'm a soul. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. That's it. That is who I am in its core. I'm an angry person. That's not who I am. It's a part of me. I'm a married human being. That's a part of me. It's not my identity. I don't identify. You're going to identification. I don't identify as a married man. I identify as Menachem. So marriage is its own entity. It's its own separate being. So, and that's why a lot of times people say is when you go on a date night, don't talk about the kids, don't talk about, talk about, the relationship in itself. And there's two energies in every human being. There's a masculine and a feminine. Masculine is more the doer, the goal oriented, let's get it done now, move, trying to always figure out solutions. And the feminine energy is more on the creative, the nurturing, the compassion, the love, the mother. Every human being has this. Every man, woman have these two energies in our bodies. And for me, the goal is to bring harmony and balance to this, to bring a lot more. For me, I work on a lot is to bring out my feminine side, to be more creative and nurture. And because I have a very, I would say, a little bit unhealthy masculine or too much. So I'm trying to that's why I work on bringing balance. Marriage is the same. Marriage has these two energies in it. You have the masculine and the feminine, and there needs to be harmony. And you guessed it, the man, or at least in my marriage, the man plays the masculine. And my wife represents and embodies the feminine. And if you want to go a little more spiritual, it's the divine masculine, the sacred masculine, and the divine feminine. And if you were brought up with in Chabad, you have the Hasidic philosophy. The Lubavitch Rebbe's first mimer emphasized, or it was from the Friedrich Rebbe, but also emphasized the idea that in the Torah it says to create the Mishkan and Hashem should dwell in it. The Shekhinah should dwell in it. Shekhinah is the embodiment of the feminine energies, the divine feminine. When I look at my wife, I look at the Shekhinah in her the divine feminine. And my job is to create a Mishkan, a dwelling place for this energy, for this divine feminine. Now, how does that look like on a practical level? Because all that was really just, it's all nice talk. It's all nice yapping. And how do we create space? So what is space? What does it mean, space? When my wife communicates with me, and I can sit and I focus, I look at her in the eyes when she talks, I put down my phone, and she can speak to me without me interjecting, without me telling her what she could have done, without me trying to fix every one of her problems that happened that day. A lot of times, it's also about the kids. You know, it's about, oh, the kids were a little tough now, and the kids were a little, X, Y, etc. And I used to take it very personal. Or a lot of time my wife, and this I work on a lot as well. It's still hard for me when my wife's asks for, to go places, and it costs money and stuff. And I get very it literally irks me. And I just want to say, no, we can't do this because, and sometimes I personally I'm starting to understand women is, they just want to just share about their dreams and just let it go. Just let them be. That is creating the space. Just let him talk. Just let him. I'm not trying to do it in a way of whatever, let him talk. But really just let them let it out. They want to let it out. They want to have a space where they can just relax into and just say what's on their mind, say what's on it, and just me, my job is to keep my mouth shut. I'm a big talker. People that know me, I love to talk. Love it. I don't know how to shut my mouth. I really don't. It was the biggest thing I came into recovery. They told me, take the cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouth and shut up and listen. And so I would go to many, many meetings and I would just sit and listen. Listen. And the same thing for here. Creating the space for my wife is listening and not reacting to what she's saying. When I say not reacting is I get triggered when she talks about how hard is it, with the kids. And then I go, what does that mean? That means I have to do something. Oh my God. And in my head, it's all in my head. Oh my God, I have to do something. Oh my God. Okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to step it up. Okay, let me step it up. I don't want to make her so, I don't want her to feel bad. Like I go into full-on survival mode, like something is happening to my wife. And the honest truth is, it's just learning how to breathe through that emotion. Yes, I'll talk about it soon, how to, word it. We're able to really tap into, I don't know if I'll have time today, but really tap into how to listen to what the women are saying, how to move and to ask her what she needs. But in order not to get into my own head, into that whole roller coaster of what does she mean by this? Does that mean that I'm not doing my job? Is she criticizing me and I'm not good enough? And that's what goes on in my head personally. So a lot of the emotion of insecurity, self-worth, self-esteem, being a man, all that comes up. I need to learn how to breathe through it. Stay focused and look at her eyes. Because if I'm going like this, okay, oh, great. Oh, the kids were tough. All right, fine. Okay, well, the kids. Okay, all right, fine. I'll do something about it. Fine. All right. You done? All right, I gotta go. Okay, fine. Yeah. I just gotta go. I gotta go to the bathroom, whatever. Yeah, my phone. Yeah. Dang. Let's just say that's going the opposite direction of what I'm trying to get to, what I'm trying to say. So The idea is to sit straight, if you can, and have your eye gaze at her. Don't lose your eye gaze and focus and hear what she's saying. That's when it's more of like just like a, how would you call it? Talking about your day. At the end of the day, talking about it and just simply, it's very easy. Don't open your mouth. That's it you have to remember. Just don't open your mouth. Now, internally, you're going nuts. Okay. That's where you got to go back to the first part. You got to learn how to regulate your emotions, work on yourself, and go internal. You might not be able to do it in that moment, but later on, you're able to do it. And there's so many things you can do. You can do, I mean, there's many things. And then you can ask me after or later on what you can do when those. But first thing, keep your mouth shut. I don't know how many times I have to say it, but, you know, just. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's it. Now, and just actually try to listen to what she's now. Try to actually listen to what she's saying, and then you'll learn. If you're starting to breathe and you focus on your breath, you're actually be able to listen to what she says versus what you don't hear. So that's the best technique I can give you. Keep your mouth shut and breathe. Active listening. So this, before I go there, actually, I want to talk about the safety and the trust. When you do something like that, you create safety. What I feel a woman wants, at least what my wife wants, is safety and trust. When I provide safety, and safety looks like she doesn't have to walk around eggshells. I still work on that. My wife still walks around sometimes around eggshells around me. Certain times when I am, she still walks, and that's my work. I got to work on that. She wants safety. She wants to be able to say what she wants to me without any repercussions. I remember my wife used to say things to me. Sometimes she would cry. Why is she crying? Oh my God, what the flip is wrong with this woman? She's 30 years old. Come on, who cries? What is going on, right? Etc. Or I would go and rip it on the person who's making her cry and go crazy at that person, right? That's not true safety. True safety is allowing her to process with herself, but you just sitting. That provides safety and trust. After you provide that, she feels good. She just feels good. And if you could try it, this, by the way, you could try with your friends. Also, if you have support groups, just try to share openly where the other person doesn't say a word. And you just share from your heart and you just let it out. You just feel like a load. She feels good. When she feels good, man, the whole place, everything changes in the house. Everything. She feels safe. All she remembers, probably remember what she said. All she remembers is he listens. When I talk, he listens. I feel good. Boom. There's no, why don't you do this? Oh, maybe you should do that. Or whatever it is, don't say anything. Now, active listening. So active listening, I would suggest, and what it is suggests is when you have to have a little more of a tougher conversation where it would, like my wife and I had to have a lot of very hard conversations. And so active listening is super helpful. It works like this. My wife would say to me, speak to me, hi, man, you didn't take out the garbage, I'm really upset at you, and go on for like 2-3 minutes, right? I then will repeat her like this. Here's a script. It's a script. Now, you do not have to, I'm not kidding, this works. It works, man, it works. Do it. Here's a script, okay? It's simple. You say like this. What I'm hearing you say is that I didn't take out the garbage. It made you very upset. You wanted it out right now, and I didn't. I would repeat, maybe not the whole 2-3 minutes, but I would repeat everything my wife said in the general terms. I wouldn't assume anything. I wouldn't say, so you were angry. If she said she was angry, I would say she's angry. She didn't say, I didn't say. If I said, she got a little upset, I said, okay, I hear you're a little upset. So I would say like this, what I'm hearing you say, and I would go for 2-3 minutes, whatever she said. Is that all? Do you want to share anything more on it? And then my wife would go again. Yeah, I have more to share. And boom, again, another 2-3 minutes. And guess what? I would repeat the script. What I'm hearing you say, I would repeat 2-3 minutes. And then I would say, is that all? Would you like to share anything more on that? By the third time, she's knocked out. Okay. She said everything she had to say. And then I would hear what she said. And I would say, and by the way, this whole time I'm keeping eye contact. It's maybe not easy for a lot of us to keep eye contact, as a nervous system can get because it's very intimate, super intimate. You really want to get intimate with your wife? Look in her eyes and talk something deep. You really get deeply intimate. So I would do that. That was for me the best way to just really hear her instead of me going into my own head. So when she says she's angry, yeah, Bob, why is she angry at me? I did so much for her. No, I don't have to go into any stories. I'm literally repeating what she said. That's it. Okay. And then once I was done, okay, then I can start already communicating. Okay, this is how I feel. And then communicate what my feeling is. Right? That's after that. But if you want to just get to the place of learning how to create that space for your wife, this active listening is golden. Now, some of you might say, yeah, but she might speak forever. Or when I would repeat what my wife was saying, she might cut me off, or I might cut her off during talking. A trick that my teachers taught me, take a talking stick. This can be a talking stick, and hold it up like this. So what I'm hearing you say, is anything more than that? Would you like to share some more? And again, give her the stick, and she takes the stick, and then she talks. Then whoever has the talking stick, don't talk. Shut your mouth. I did this in business. I did it with my business partners. I always use talking stick anytime I have to have a difficult conversation, and I expect that the other person will not know how to hold their tongue. Bring my talking stick, and I say, whoever talks. We also have this a lot in Judaism, a lot of different, where we put like, they call it a hecker, something to recognize that this is kosher, this is good, and that's not. So it's a visual item to remind, because sometimes I just want to cut her off. The talking stick. And I see the talking stick, I shut my mouth. So that's a great way. Another thing is timer. Put a 3-minute timer. 3-minute timer, whoever talks gets the talking stick, gets a talk. 3-minute timer goes off, the next person talks. And they also have maybe 2-3 minutes, whatever it is. You'll figure it out. I know this all sounds like, oh, we could just talk. We're so good. We're so connected. But go ahead. Go ahead. I'm talking about if you have a difficult time learning how to create that safe space for your wife. Now, what does it have to do with creating a safe space? This type of listening is when my wife would share her emotions. I mean, she said things to me, man, in those times were brutal. My whole nervous system was shocked. We would do couples therapy, and my therapist would be in the middle, sitting back, and we would face each other, my wife and I, for an hour straight. An hour. She would say things, how hurt she was, what I caused from all the screaming, the rage, the addiction, and she would rip it on me. She's so gentle, but her words can really hurt. And she wasn't doing it to hurt me. She was trying to share how she felt. So if I wasn't regulating my own emotions, if I wasn't working on myself, I would go nuts. Who do you think you are? You are complaining about. I would go crazy. But because I was able to go internal and say, hey, there's something not right going on in this household. And me being the man, and I believe I'm here to lead this family, something's up with me. I got to look into that. So when she comes at me, maybe there's something there, maybe. But I couldn't listen. I just couldn't listen. Thank God for my therapist. Shut me down fast and taught me. And with the help of my wife, I was able to sit and listen. And to do this active listening really brought out this ability to hear my wife. And I could say now today, with confidence. We could sit in the room. She could say whatever she wants. And by the way, I'm talking about when she says whatever she wants. She talks about how I yell at her, how she got a point. She hated me. She hated certain things that I did. I don't know if she hated me in terms of she didn't love me. She loved me, but she hated certain things I did, and really give it to me. Really say things, how hurtful I was. And then to hear it and not react, that took a lot. And if you're just starting out in this, or if you've been working on yourself and working on your relationship, and this is a hard thing to do, I'm with you. It ain't easy. It's not. Slowly. Start slow. Start slow. And I find that a lot of times guys talk to me is that they try it. What happens is they can't hack it, so they run out of the room. They run out of the room in this. So I remember telling someone, running out of the room, good. That's better than yelling back at her. That's step one. Step one, you know you can't hack it. You run out of the room. So many times I can't hack my kids. Sometimes they're screaming way too much in the house and everyone's going crazy. I'm not center. I tell my wife, I got to get out. I got to go to my room. I got to get out of the house. I need a break. Because if not, I'm right now back. I'm basically in my trigger, and then everyone else is going nuts. So we're just all going nuts together. And I want them to see a grounded human being. That's who I want my children to see. So the same thing with my wife. I want her to see a man that can hack it, that can take it. I don't want to be a guy that can't take it. I don't want my wife to walk around knowing she can't share with her husband the most intimate thing. That's the whole point of marriage was. The whole point of marriage is that if she's going through something, the most difficult thing, difficult to the point of saying, hey, I don't know if I want to be in this marriage, not to lose myself. That's how much I feel. I wanted to give my wife that space. So if you're struggling with learning how to even be in that space because you can't handle your emotions, okay, great. At least you know you can't handle it. So then go figure out how you can handle it. I have one more point I wanted to talk about, and maybe it'll come to me. But in terms of sitting up, now about your wife flourishing, that was it. How does this help with your wife flourishing? I was like, okay, yeah, you listen to your wife. I guess I'm throwing the men under the bus, but I'm really going to just throw myself. I have such a big ego. I think I'm the king of the world. Until I see the way the women, especially my wife, and I believe a lot of religious women, what they have to handle, what they have to go through. It's not just, we have, Jewish people have generational trauma where we all have to work on and heal and stuff. Then we have, I grew up, I have religious trauma. Then there was physical, emotional, and other stuff. But a woman, a frum woman, what they have to go through, there's more. There's a woman, the aspects of women, what they have to go through, and especially in this day and age, coming out the way they were treated. A frum woman, the sheitel, the Shabbos, the caring for the kids, and it's bananas. So if there's one place she needs the man to create that. When she has that, when she feels safe and secure in herself, she's flying to the moon. Her energy will burst in a good way. She'll be more alive. She'll be able to create more. And when I'm talking about create, her energy of creation, the man, they compare the feminine energy to an ocean and the man to the boat. Imagine the energy. Imagine you're waking up. What you're doing is you're waking up your wife's energy. She's an ocean. And imagine all you have now. You have a lake. You have a pond. Yay! Oh, wow, pond. Okay, it's nice. I'm going on the boat with the pond. No, you want to go in the ocean. You want the big ocean. You want the big ocean? Create that space for her. Create that space so that big boat of yours can go onto the ocean. Because right now, at least I know for myself, when I got married, I only had like a little pond. I had a little thing going on. My wife was very restricting. I restricted her. I'll say it straight up. I restricted her. I didn't want her. I wanted life like this. but I was able to allow her to flourish. She's able to tap into her own energies, who she is, and she comes out with her creation. And at least I know, and I know in the frum world, a big thing that we bring is the Shekhinah. We're bringing down here the Shekhinah into this world. Bring down the divine feminine into your home is creating the space for your wife to really flourish. And by doing that, by just listening, that's it. All you got to do is create wonders. That's my magic. I'm going to leave like 10 minutes now for questions. Anyone have questions? If I think about anything else, I'll maybe shoot in there also jump. I also want to say is what I offer. I was doing real estate for 12 years, and now I do full-time coaching for men, helping them get into themselves, into their emotions, how to really channel their energy, their power, as well as I also facilitate with plant medicine, which really helps connect and go through a lot of people struggle with trauma, to really go past trauma to connect with your soul. I'll be also hosting a men's workshop locally in Baltimore. So if you are from Baltimore, or if you're going to be in Baltimore, January 12th, we'll be having a men's workshop. The things I talked about, we're actually going to practice. We're going to activate ourselves, and we're going to learn how to really practice sitting and really getting in touch with our emotions and learning how to focus, breathe, and stay present while we're really activated. Okay, let me just open up. Oh, there is questions. Okay, so the first one I see here is, I'm assuming cause the kids absorb the energy the parents give off. I don't know if that's a question, but so I do believe that. My kids, basically, they are just learning what I do. So if I come home, I'm stressed, my kids are stressed. You know who taught me how to calm down the most? My newborn baby. Let me say, that's why it could be that in Judaism, we always say that kids are a big blessing, because that newborn will taught me how to stay calm, stay focused. He can really feel the energy. So yes, I do believe kids can feel that energy. The next question is, what does it mean when you say our close ones mirror us, what we need to work on? What we need to work on. So everyone in this, I believe everyone in this world is here to teach us a lesson. Who more than my wife? Who more? I came into this world, right? They say we're half soul, half soul. And then when we marry, we become one. So my wife is my second half. My wife is my second half. There's, and she is my biggest, it's not the most positive word, but she's my biggest trigger, and she's my biggest healing. So are my children. They're my biggest triggers, and therefore they're my biggest healing. I've learned so much from my children on what I missed out in childhood. I learned so much from my wife, what she goes through. I can't tell you how many times I see my wife going through something, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have the same thing. And then I go inward and I go, wow, what a beautiful, beautiful thing to work on. And sometimes I can't hack it, and I go and yell at her. So that's what I believe. I believe that the people are brought on us to really teach us, and who more than the wife. I hope that answers that question. Next one is, maybe this is a long answer, but when you struggle to stay regulated or make mistakes in relationship, how do you repair and get back on track? Great question. My sponsor always told me 24 hours. So I remember this one time, my wife, we were in therapy, and she said something to me, and I did not like it. Oh man, I held it in. So I'm a champion. I hold it in, right? It's not healthy to hold it in. It's healthy to hold it in for right then. You got to go afterwards and then channel it out. And there's many ways to do that. So I thought, I meditated, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm going to go tell her in a very nice way, this is how I felt. And I went back and told her, before really seeing what she said, was it true? and how I felt. And what happened was we went right back into an argument. And then until the next day, when I really calmed down, I really saw my part. So I would say is if you're struggling to stay regulated or making mistakes in your relationship, yeah, it's not. It's how would you say it's not always smooth sailing. It goes up like this, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But at least sometimes you'll win. So the wins will start accumulating, and then the losses will start. You start winning more and stop losing more. So I would just say keep going. But every time you do make a mistake, come back and you got to go back to that again where you messed up. So take responsibility where you messed up. And one of the best things to say, and I'll answer that like this. I used to say this all the time. My wife would complain, and not complain, but she would basically tell me how she felt about all the hurt I did to her. I would say to her like this: honey, sweetie, I know I did this. I was not there for you. I'm here right now. I'm here today. What can I do? And that's what the best way to do it. You're right. And she might go again and you repeat it. Don't stop repeating it until she says, I want you to do X, Y, and Z. Okay, you figure it out and go. Because that's really what it is. We're all humans. We all make mistakes. The question is, can you now own up to it and say, okay, I'm here right now. You're right. Okay. What can I do right now? What can I do right now? Hope that answers that. Any dating advice for singles, how to apply this? Yeah. Work on yourself. The more you work on yourself now, the less. I always tell guys, I love seeing single guys working on themselves. I'm so jealous. I wish I had that. I wish I had that awareness. So, first work on yourself. Just work on yourself. So now really learn how to apply. Like, hey, instead of like blaming someone, we're going to go inside. And then when you when you're dating or when you marry someone, you have so much tools now because all you got to do is just apply the way you were living now, just apply it to your life. So that's the big thing. Do you ever get bored being at home? Or as a dad, I think maybe that's part of the question. I get bored, sure. Yeah, I get bored. I started to learn how to sit in boredom and to start appreciating boredom. Yeah, I definitely, I'm working on that actually. My work now is how to be more present for my kids. I'll be honest. So I'm not even there yet because big thing I like to avoid is boredom itself. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. The next question is, how are the triggers interpreted positively? Triggers can be turned on. What happens is when someone says something to me that I don't like, it's energy. It's just an energy. It's just an emotion. Emotion is just energy. So why is it bad? Why is it bad? Why is it bad? For example, there was a story of a guy who he had a farm and his son broke his leg. The whole town came to him and said, oh my God, your son, he broke his leg. And he's like, it's so bad for you. Oh my God, what happened? And he said, maybe. And then the next day, what happened? The army came to draft everyone. And they saw the broken leg, so they didn't draft him. So the town came and said, wow, oh my gosh, what a miracle. So amazing that he broke his leg. And he said, maybe. And then it goes on and on and on. The same thing with, I believe, with the trigger. It's just activating something in us. So who decides it's bad or good? Really, that's what I mean by trigger, because I believe that everything comes from Hashem, and I full betachin in that, and I welcome it. It's just not easy to do. I would say it's hard, very hard, but it's simple. Yeah, it's simple. Hope that answers that. Next question is, how do you navigate situations where the roles of masculine and feminine might overlap in the relationship? Yeah, that's a great one. So that's where communication comes in. Listen, you want to hear something? This is, my wife is very handy. I'm not handy. I'm not handy at all. My wife is super handy. She's amazing. The drill on this. Me can't do it. I can't do it. So there's a lot of masculine roles, and my wife is super amazing at. And sometimes I'm more. It's more. I don't even know if I'm feminine. I'm just lazy. So balance. Decide. You can communicate what. It doesn't have to be that the man is the masculine and the woman. It could be very how do you call it? Very just communicate about it. Like when we prepare a trip. Again, my wife likes when I prepare the trip, I take care of everything, right? I take care of it all. It's a very masculine thing to do. Versus, I don't know where to go, honey, I don't know what to do, and this and that. That's what I want my wife to be like, I don't know what to do. And I come in there and here's what to do. Sometimes my wife doesn't. I don't know what to do. I get very confused and this and that, and I can't make a decision. And my wife comes in and she takes care of everything. So it's balanced communication. And that's what we work on. That's what we work on the relationship. How do I can step more into my masculine? How can she step more into her feminine? And so when we can show up for each other, we learn how to do it. Next question is, what do you do if you're not talking to your wife for 48 hours because of an argument and just not interested in being the bigger man? Oh, yeah, I love this question. Oh, I love it. And I'll say to you, man, I agree. Who wants to be the bigger man? No one. No one, especially, I know what that is. Like, I won't talk to my wife just because we had an argument. And sometimes I didn't. The question is, do you like it or not? So there's a story of, like, they say two chassidim or two monks walking in the field or whatever, and they come by and they see a woman drowning. What do? One person goes and grabs the woman, saves her. 30 minutes later, the other guy says to the person who saved the woman, how can you touch a woman? How can you touch her with that? He says, I was holding her for 10 seconds. You're holding her for 30 minutes. So the question is, how long do you want to hold on to it? That's it. How long you want to hold on to it? I personally like to hold on to anything, man. I like getting rid of it fast. When you say you're not talking to your wife, did you guys agree not to talk? Or so what I do is all the time, I go and I say, sweetie, can I talk to you? I want to talk. I have something to talk about. And we know it's a serious one. We both sit down, we both focus, and then I go. A lot of times she would say, I don't want to talk right now. And I have to go and say, okay, I was ready. I did my part. She doesn't want to talk right now. That's on her. I would say, okay, let me know when you're ready. Then we'll move on. So if you're not ready, not interested, ask yourself why you're not interested. What are you fearful of? What's going to happen? Anything. If anything, it shows what kind of man you are. Again, the bigger man. All right. That is more like, I get it. I feel you. Next question is how to create emotional safety when the relationship has been damaged or betrayed. Well, that's what I have to do. That really, honestly, could speak to go deeper. Let's speak to my wife more, but how to create emotional safety is that. That's specifically emotional safety. I feel that I had to allow my wife to express her emotions, and no matter what it was, no matter what she said, and not react. That's the point. If she's damaged and she feels betrayed, she wants to hit you. Maybe not physically, but she wants to hit you with emotions. But if you can't take it, she's not going to want to hit you. She's like, imagine you go into the ring, but the fighter doesn't want to come into the ring. No, what are you going to do? You got to be able to step into that ring and allow it. You got to take it. It's hard. It's super hard, bro. I know. It's super hard, man. I actually just got the chills, man. It's hard. Practice, and keep working on yourself, and you'll get there. I see my wife struggling emotionally, but I don't know if she will understand it if I point out her misery or if it will change. What would you do? Yeah, that's a good one. I would suggest not to point out her misery. Recently, my wife, something she was going through, and I wasn't there 100%. And, I don't know if I asked her, or she told me, like, she needed more love from me. And I need to step up in that next time something like that happens. Kind of like remind her, hey, it's going to be okay. I love you. It's going to be okay. And you can ask women. I'm assuming, I know my wife likes that, and I'm assuming a lot of other women like that. Just tell her. Just tell her it's okay. Tell her it's okay. I know you're going through, maybe, and then maybe open up the conversation. If she wants to talk about it, like, then you go right into that active listening, keep your mouth shut, stuff like that. If she doesn't want to talk about it, or she doesn't want to, don't say, oh, you're living in misery. She can't be herself then. Sometimes people have to go through what they want to go through. And what you could ask, I ask this a lot of times, my wife, when she shares to me, sometimes she just wants she needs an emotional release. And she just needs to share. And I would say, what do you need from me right now? Do you need to listen, or do you want support, or do you need a solution? So if just support, I just said, listen, I'll just say, yeah, I hear what you're saying and stuff. And if she needs a solution, I would think about it. And so you can also ask that. Next question. Single guys can also apply this to dating. On a date, can you practice active listening? I would say it could get, listen, this is my own fear. It could get it's very deep. You can practice active listening like this. What I'm hearing you say, but do it in a more casual way, maybe. More casual way. So if you're dating someone, really listen, sit and listen, and just kind of casually hear what they're saying and repeat back something I'm hearing you say. But it could get a little, I would say, a little therapeutic, and it could be weird. Because when you're dating, I feel it's more, having fun and this. You're not really having a deep conversation. When you're having a deep conversation, yeah, go ahead. But when you're just dating, I mean, go have fun and enjoy, and then when you need to have a deep conversation, then go deep and maybe, use that way of doing it. Okay. Oh, wait. Oh, some more. Okay, hold on. There's two more. What's about if we are on two different religious levels? Yeah, that is a great question. I don't have experience in that, to be honest. So I don't know. I don't have experience, but I do know, and I have friends where I see mutual respect. I right now am maybe on a different religious level than my wife or something. Maybe we were at a point. I remember getting to a place once where I said to myself, my religious beliefs and my religious rituals, the way I do things, is for one reason: to connect with God. It's not nothing to do with anyone else. And I respect my wife where she's holding. So that's my only answer to that, is that there has to be respect. If now, definitely communicate. This will help so much. Active listening will help so much in communicating what your religious aspects are, what your religion. It will help so much. So I don't have too much experience in that, because my wife and I are pretty much on the same religious level of belief. So I didn't really have to struggle with that, but I do know respect is key. Respect. And again, the kids see. Let's just take a step back. What am I trying to teach my kids? I'm trying to teach my kids how to be good human beings. I'm not trying to teach them to connect to God. You connect to God by being a good human, meaning, and then you connect internal to yourself. You're connecting to Hashem. How do you connect to Hashem? You go and you pray, but your prayer is for you. Everything's about you to connect. So what am I teaching my kids when I show them that I respect my wife, even though we're not on the same religious level? What do they learn? Respect. So when my kid grows up, he's going to choose what he wants to do. He's going to choose to be related, not related, whatever he wants. I don't know. I can't even control him at 20-something years old. Look what happened to me. No one can control me. But one thing you will know, you'll know how to respect. That's what I'll learn. That might be a good thing. Last question, I believe. Oh, man. There's more. Okay. How do we get our kids to be more focused and attentive to our parents when they're so distracted today by technology? It beats me. But I will tell you, be together more, hang out more as a family. And while you're together as a family, don't argue. I try not to argue in front of my wife. If we're discussing something, or we get heated, maybe not in front of the kids. really learn how to show, because you're always, let's say, for example, you're walking to show, and you have to like help your wife. Talk with gentleness and soften. They'll pick up on that. And my teacher told me once, when I come and I show a healthy relationship, my kids feel a healthy relationship. Kids feel. They don't need to how do you call it? They don't need to hear or speak. They feel. So when they feel an authentic relationship, that's what they need. That's my opinion. Okay. Does religion go above marriage? Great question. To me, yeah. Yes. So and I would argue that a lot of things in Yiddishkeit, we always say for shalom bias, we change things. So my belief is, yeah, it does. Now, in what aspect? That's different. I would say, like, I'm going to eat non-kosher. I'm just saying, but I put my marriage first. I dropped a lot of things in the religion I didn't care because my marriage was number one. So I did whatever it takes. I did whatever it took to get my marriage back stable and healthy. And that meant dropping the religion stuff. So to me, yeah, it does. Because I don't know why, because this is my feeling, but shalom bias, they say shalom bias, And I would also point out one story. The Lubavitcher Rebbe would go and speak every single day, would go and hang out with his wife for 20 minutes. It was very important for him. Now you would think in the Lubavitcher Rebbe, I can't say this 100%, but I heard this, I know that fact. But a story I heard was he told someone, connecting with my wife is this as important to me as putting on tefillin. I don't know. He put his religion very connected to the marriage. So I'm just saying. I don't know if that story is 100%, but example is 100%. So yeah. Okay. All right. So that is it. So I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to stay on for this because actually I just want to say something. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate taking the time. There will be a recording and you'll get an email of the recording. And I get on my website and other stuff that I do. So if you're interested in joining other things or working with me, let me know. Okay. We will be in touch. Have a beautiful night.